What do you want? Why do you want it? How do you want to feel? If the universe is for me and I am the creator of my own life experience, this contrasting thing is showing me where I need to change my point of attraction. Okay, if it's not this, it's going to be something better. This or something better. And that's the best place to be as far as manifestation. Be okay, satisfied with the now, and excited for what else is coming. Excited for what you're creating. Excited for what you're manifesting. Excited for what your soul is wanting to bring you towards.
Today, I have with me a 2 times New York Times bestselling author and international bestselling author. She's been on the Today Show, the Morning Show, TEDx, the Hallmark Channel. She's been featured in countless publications, including People Magazine, and she's the Law of Attraction expert. Today, I am welcoming Christy Whitman. Christy, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica. Hi, everybody.
My first question for you is, what is energy mastery?
So it's really about mastering our own energy, because we know now from quantum physics, from modern science, that everything is energy. And when we understand that everything is energy, even our thoughts are energy, our emotions are energy, we can then master our own energy through our thoughts, through our emotions, through our perspectives, through the actions that we take. So the great news is that nobody can master our energy for us, and most people are looking for outer things to change in order for them to be happy. Like, if I had more money, then I'd be more secure. If I had a partner, then I would be loved. If I had a career that I love, then I would feel fulfilled. We're always looking for things outside in our in our third dimension, but it's us that really masters or manages our own energy. So think of it, I like to think of it as like keys on a piano. There's lots of different notes. They all play a different chord or different key, but we're the piano player. We're the ones that are choosing those notes. And so many times we are not in deliberate choice. We're in a default choice. We're in a conditioned choice or reactive choice. So we continue to play the note of worry or fear or disappointment instead of playing the notes that we want. So the joy, the passion, the purpose, the freedom, we can play those too. So when we learn how to master our own energy, meaning our thoughts, our words that we say, the perspectives that we hold, the emotions that we process or don't, and then the actions that we take, we are then the master of our own energy.
Beautifully said. Now for all the people who are hitting that key worry, worry, worry every day, and they've sort of programmed themselves, and that's what they do. I know people like this in my life, it's whatever's going on, they're worrying.
Yeah.
What's the first step you can do to stop that?
Well, I always like to say that there's 3 questions that you can ask yourself. And this is when I first learned about law of attraction, gosh, almost 30 something years ago. Pivoting the mind and focusing your mind, like you just said, listen to my book, The Desire Factor. Focus, our own personal focus is everything, because what we focus on with law of attraction, what we focus on expands, right? We draw to us what we are focused on. The mind is creative. And so if our mind is focusing on worry, we're focusing on what we don't want. And one of the laws that I talk about, because I talk about 7 essential laws, one of the laws I talk about is the law of sufficiency and abundance. And when we are in a place of lack or scarcity, focused on what we don't want, we're going to feel bad. And so, like, the Cliff Note version basically of the law of sufficiency and abundance is, if we feel bad, we're in lack. If we feel good, we're in abundance. And so when we're focused on worry, fear, and we feel bad, ask yourself, what do I want? And it's interesting because as a coach for over, it'll be 25 years next year, when I ask someone, what do you want? Most of the time they go, well, I don't want to gain weight. Well, I don't want to lose my job. Well, I don't want to, I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to, whatever. Once we know what we don't want, we can ask ourselves, what's the opposite? If you're focused on, I don't want to be late, what's the opposite of not being late? Well, being on time. I want to be early, right? I don't want to get caught in traffic. What's the opposite of that? I want flowing open roads, right? I don't want to get a divorce. Well, what do you want instead? I want to improve my relationship. I want more connection, more love, more stimulation, whatever that is. So ask yourself, what do you want? That gets the mind involved, which our minds are very important. It's a part of our focus. But then you want to ask yourself, why? Why do you want this? Because that's where you then evoke the energy, the essence of what you want. So not only the mental body, but the emotional body. So what do you want? I want to make more money. Okay, well, why do you want to make more money? Because I will have more freedom. I can buy what I want. I can put my kids through school. I can eat better food. I could go to better restaurants. I could wear better clothes. I could have more money to invest in my business, right? Whatever the why is, now you're focusing. And once you start pivoting and focusing your energy on what you want and why you want it, you then get to a place of, okay, the third question, what do you want? Why do you want it? How do you want to feel? Because the biggest thing is that we are so conditioned that if I want to feel successful, I have to go accomplish something. I have to have so many likes or followers. I have to have so much money in the bank. I have to have the guy, the partner, whatever it is. When I get that, then I'll feel. And that is the biggest lie. We need to be able to feel in order to attract what we want. So if someone is wanting to feel love, support, success, abundance, well-being, freedom, whatever it is, those feelings, those emotions, those states of being already exist, like the keys on the piano, right? It's just, what note are we focusing on? What note are we playing? Because what we play, we're going to get that vibration back. And it's like a cycle. It's just there's momentum that builds. So when you find yourself focusing on what doesn't feel good, what you're resisting against, you want to ask yourself, what do I want? Why do I want it? And how do I want to feel? And know that that feeling is available for you right now. I mean, if I was to say to someone, connect with that feeling of peace, connect with a feeling of contentment. Imagine that right now I am feeling content. Right now I'm feeling fulfilled. What does that mean to you? How do you interpret that word? What does that essence mean to you? How does it feel in your body? When you focus on, okay, I want to focus on abundance, what does that feel like in your body? And as you focus more on that abundance, you are now resonating with it. You're playing that key of abundance. But what happens a lot of times, because our minds might go, ooh, that abundance feels good, but I don't have the money. Or that abundance, that support feeling feels really good, but I don't have a partner. I feel lonely, right? So that's what I like to call split energy. You want this, but your focus is over here, or your vibration is over here. And that's where we have to understand that it's like, if I want this, but what's the but? What is the but that I don't have enough, or I'm too young, I'm too old, no one's ever done that before, I don't know how to. Those buts are the reasons or the excuses that we give ourselves to not flow into what we do want.
One thing I've been catching myself doing every night is thinking, what a great day it's been, like how fulfilled I feel. And then my mind immediately goes, this is all I need, or this is all that's missing. And I'm like, oh, the mind does that, it's
It
exactly
does.
what you're saying.
Yeah, it's trained to do that. And it's trained to focus on the past. It's trained to focus on the future. We're cycling all the time. So the mind it's developed so that we're looking at not just this moment, but looking at, what do I need tomorrow? What am I going to need next week? And what am I going to need next year? And what don't I have right now? But the beauty about really becoming an energy master is that when your mind goes, well, I've got this and everything's so good and this is so fantastic, but I don't have this, ask yourself, well, if I did have that, right? If yes, my mind is saying, well, hello, you don't have the guy in the bed, you don't have the money in the bank, you don't have the career that's fulfilling, you don't have the friend, the whatever, the dog, the cat, whatever it is, right? You don't have more clients, business, whatever. If you don't have this, then that comes back to, then what do I want? Why do I want it? How do I want to feel? And then focusing on, yes, I don't have it right now, but I have access to the essence of what that is, the essence of feeling free, the essence of feeling joy. We can cultivate that right now. And the beauty is that we don't need to be reactive to what's in our life and what's in the third dimension. We need to be proactive and really being able to look at, okay, if this is missing and this is bringing up a feeling of not feeling good, what is it that I do want? And then feel your way. It's like, feel it as if it's in front of you, to the side of you, above you, because it is, because everything is energy. And when we claim or decide or choose on a certain frequency, the energy morphs into it. And then it becomes accessible to us to use, to feel, to vibrate out, to attract from.
Can we talk about trusting the process? You give so many good stories in your book about this, where it seems like, you're doing all the things and you're focused on what you want, the desired outcome, but then you're redirected. And so it feels like you're not actually getting to where you want to be, but it's all part of the process. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So whenever we have an intention for anything, I don't feel good. So maybe you use the process. What do I want? You notice that I'm not having whatever this is. And you go, okay, what do I want? Why do I want it? How do I want to feel? And then you get in that state. Well, then something contrasting might show up. And I like to look at contrast, meaning what you don't want, as an opportunity or a gift. Because if we're intending for something that's here, but we're here, and since this is a podcast, but you're also a video, something higher than where you're at, there's a gap between what you have and what you want. And so, but when there's that gap, the mind, like we talked about before, will notice, well, there's this gap between what I want and what I have. And I said I wanted this, but now I'm getting this, right? I wanted more money and now I've got more costs of things or unexpected, stuff. I might get a flat tire, or my refrigerator might, break, or, so now I got to pay for this or this unexpected tax bill, or, whatever it is. Those moments are the a moment to rededicate yourself and calibrate yourself to, okay, even though this unwanted contrasting thing is showing up, I still get to be able to pivot. I still get to be able to go, okay, if this is for me, if I truly believe that the universe is for me and life's not trying to get in my way, or, life's hard, and a lot of those beliefs that we do have, if the universe is for me and I am the creator of my own life experience, this contrasting thing is showing me where I need to change my point of attraction, right? But as you are pivoting and you're focusing on what you do want, and something unwanted comes or something unexpected comes, when you trust and have faith and you surrender, what the exact outcome needs to be, it's like, okay, it's this or something better. In my book, I share, one of the examples you're probably talking about is, my mom and dad. My dad just passed away earlier this year, and a few years ago, my dad was telling my husband and I, I'm done with having a house. I don't want to have a house anymore. So, I'd like to, I don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to live in an old person home kind of thing. So let's figure out a solution. So I had the idea downloaded to me. If we take their house and our house, we sell both of them, we could get a house where there's a guest house or a casita. And so that's what we started to do, right? And I started looking for a house, and I found a house that would be perfect. And at least I thought. And even though it wasn't the exact location I wanted, because I knew exactly where I wanted to live, it'd be good for them and their doctor's appointments and all that. So we put an offer on a house. This house had been on the market for about 8 or 9 months without any offer at all. As soon as my agent, who happened to be my friend, and my husband were drafting the offer, my friend got a call that the house had just been accepted and they had a cash offer. So the house that I had already started to envision, right? Okay, his room will be there, my office will be there, right? The furniture will go here. Like I started already living and seeing myself in this particular house. So when that came, it was like, what? It was so disappointing, right? Because we create our future connections energetically first. We create it in our mind. We start seeing ourselves in that relationship, dating that guy or that girl or them, or, wherever it is and whoever it is, or that house. So for me, I had to let the energy, the disappointment, the frustration, the what? How come that happened? Like the shock or what I like to call bushwhack. I had to let that go, process that energy out. And then I returned to what I believe. Okay, if it's not this, it's going to be something better. This or something better.
Now, does
This,
this have anything to do with letting go of an attachment or letting go, yes, of attachment?
yes. Because if you're in the essence of something and you feel like, when I say essence, it's the feeling state, the feeling of joy, the feeling of freedom, the feeling of success, and you're vibrating, got momentum going, and then this shows up, that's an opportunity to release any lower level energy, any resistance, right? So that I thought I was going in that direction, I let it go. Now, here's the thing. I could have been there and the universe doesn't support me. That was my house. How come? How come I never get what I want, right? And we can start thinking in negative thoughts. That's where most of us do, unless we are trained. And I've been trained and I've been training myself for decades. So it was, okay, let go of the discontent, surrender all those emotions of disappointment, surrender, let go. And there's processes and things that I teach. But then it was like, wait a minute, I said this or something better. And so it was like, okay, I'm open to, there must be this was really good. Wow. I got excited because if there's something even better than this, wow, that then pivots me into focusing on what I do want. And later that day, I literally got an intuition, I like to call who I channel the council, and I take a drive. So I started driving on the road, going back towards my house where I lived, and they were like, keep going, keep driving. Okay, right? Sometimes we get these intuitive notions, these ideas, and we're like, that's, I don't have time for that, or why? We doubt it. We fight against it. We want to argue with it. Instead, I was like, okay, I said this or something better. So I kept driving. And then they were like, turn right. I don't know this road. Okay, I'm going to turn right. Keep going, turn left. I was following my guidance. This is something that obviously I've been doing for a long time. So, people that are starting out, they're like, my guidance doesn't tell me to go left or right. It's a practice. But I got to this development and I drove up and the area was like heavenly. And wow. And I drove in and I went into the model home and I was like, this is amazing. Wait, I could build a house here with a casita. Wow. So I called my husband, like, you have to come see this house or this development. And he was like, where are you taking me? This is like, where are we? And we get there and I'm like, I want to do it. And he's like, we can't do that. Why not? I've been guided to come here. Why? This is what feels right. This is what feels good. We could do this. So we ended up buying our house. It's a dream house. I'm in literally the casita right now as my part of my business. It's separated from my house. My mom is now in a place where she's happy and she has friends that have all lost their their husbands. So she's not home stuck in here like without someone to talk to or not having any interaction. She gets to play games and all that. So this or something better created, having that opening and that attitude created more possibilities and more expansion that me myself couldn't even imagine. I mean, I didn't know about this, but when you open yourself up to your higher self, to your soul self, to the divine self, to energy. And you're the one, because remember, everything is energy, and all energy is here and accessible for us, but it comes through us as a container. And if we are blocked by limitation, by scarcity, by lack, if we have those filters on, then that's what we're going to experience. But if we take the filters off and we focus on, again, there's the notes on the piano. If we're focusing on, I want to feel good, I want to trust, I want to feel expansive, this or something better, then we're open. We're in the allowing mode so that more good things can come to us.
Oh, that gave me chills. Okay, yes. And this actually reminded me of something that happened a few years ago when someone called me because someone they worked with got fired. And I guess it was wrongful the way that it happened. And this person wanted me and everyone that they knew to go on Facebook and basically protest this person getting fired. And at first I was just like, oh yeah, like you want to help. And then my friend and I actually looked at each other and we're just like, wait, like how do we know that this isn't happening for her? Like, how do we know what's on the other side of it? Maybe this causes her to get another job that is more aligned, or maybe she starts her own business. And, you don't know. Things might look bad from the outside, but you don't know where it's going to actually lead you.
Nothing's done. Nothing is done. Because a lot of times, I mean, great contrast leads us to something better if we allow it to, because that's our decision. We can either play the victim, things are never working out for me, the universe is against me, nobody's here to support me, I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes. I mean, all of those thought forms and all of that pushing against what we don't want, we create our own reality. But when we deliberately choose to look at something as, wait a minute, this is happening for me, this is going to be better for me. I've had situations in my life that most people be like, what? I had my sister who committed suicide when I was in my late 20s. And it was around that time that I started opening up spiritually and started learning how to meditate. And so when she chose to take her own life, I made a decision right then and there. I don't ever want to make that decision for myself. I don't want to be like that. And I also don't want what she chose in her life to be the thing that stops me or blocks me from having joy in my life. So that decision, that dedication helped me grow. It helped me heal. It helped me find my purpose. Because if I could have helped her to understand about universal laws and law of attraction and and energy mastery and how to get into flow state, if I could have helped her, I couldn't, because I didn't know. But now I know what I know, and I have helped hundreds of thousands of people feel better in their life so they don't make that choice. I actually had a client a couple of months ago say to me, before I met you, I was suicidal, and now I love life. I just wanted to escape life, and now I love my life, right? Like that right there. I know the meaning and the depth of that because I've had a sister who was very close. We were very close, literally end her own life because she didn't know another way out. And to have that contrast and to now be able to have the polar opposite, to know that this person's life, she chose something different because she knew different. My sister didn't have that. And that's what I dedicated myself because of that contrast. I've been through a divorce. I've been through mounds of debt. I've had, I was a top salesperson when I was a pharmaceutical rep, and I was asked to resign from the company or be fired. I mean, that's a Sophie's choice. It was like, wait, what? Okay, either way, I'm losing my job. So you either get fired or you resign, and then you get bonuses and all that kind of stuff, which there was nothing warranted. But again, the fight against that, oh, well, we get into our brains naturally get into either fight mode or flight mode or freeze mode. There's other modes, but being in flow to go, you know what? Like you said, what if this is for me? And it so was. Because during that time, for the first time in my life since I was 15, actually 14, for the first time in my life, I didn't have a job. And I spent more time meditating and journaling and doing personal discovery. And it was during that time that my first book literally downloaded through me. And that's what created me being an author and then being a coach and then being a healer and a channeler and, being able to make the difference not only in my own life, but in other people's lives that I get to share this information with.
Okay, now as far as destiny and freedom of choice, do you believe that your sister had chosen this path and the way that her life ended? Do you think she chose that so that you could go on and help impact and save many other lives?
I think the soul connection and the soul agreement, if you want to say, was to be sisters and to have that difference in contrast. Her choice to end her life, I don't feel that that's predestined. That's a human, free will choice, right? But I also do think, and I do know that because I'm so purposeful and, it's a gift. Like what I have yes, it's a skill. Yes, it's a talent, but it's a gift to be able to literally just open myself up to consciousness and write books. Some people struggle to write a book, right? For me, I'm like, all right, what do you want to write about? And then it's like, it just downloads. That's a gift. So I know that when we were younger, like if we were writing a card to my mom and dad, right, as an example for like their anniversary or Christmas or something, I would go, okay, what do I say? And then right. And she would look at me like, and she'd sit there for hours. I don't know what I want to say. And she'd struggle with it. Right. So that ability has always been part of my experience. Doing what I do with it now, yes, I'm following that soul purpose, but I also have a conscious choice. I have choices. Am I going to continue to do this? Am I going to, that book that downloaded through me, I have a choice. Am I going to follow through with it and get it published and go out and speak on it? Right? Those are free will choices that I have and that we all have. So there's the soul connection, and truly the soul purpose is to come and add light, to add more love. And it's not as detailed as people think because the details come in with our human experience to be able to pick up, I like to call it, having the spiritual breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel, like you taking the breadcrumbs all along the way. We get these moments of these spiritual light breadcrumbs, and do we pick them up? Do we consume them? Do we let it, fill us up? Or do we go, no, that saying, many are called, few are chosen, is not because we're chosen, it's because we self-choose. So for me to go, oh, this feels so good, and I have a talent, I have a gift in doing this, I'm going to keep doing it. But at any point in time, when I wrote my first book, my whole entire family, my aunts and uncles were making fun of me because they didn't understand about law of attraction. They didn't understand about energy. They're like, she's lost her mind. I mean, that would have been a moment right there to not follow my path, to not follow my alignment, and just go, you know what? I'm fine. I make enough money as a pharmaceutical rep. I'll just stay as a pharmaceutical rep, right? To not follow that path. So it's both. It's both and. And I will say this too, as it relates to my sister, because she herself was in great despair and she went through therapy, and she was, back in the 90s, was a big Oprah fan and would literally tape every single Oprah episode. And Oprah would have, because she was in the middle of self-discovery at that time, she was having every single author that now is my friend and colleague on the show. And so, like, your Marianne Williamson, she was on the show, and my sister saw her on the show, bought her book, would buy her tapes, would listen to her. And I remember driving after I graduated from college. I drove with my sister from Arizona to Chicago because I was moving to Chicago. And my sister put Marianne Williamson in the tape deck. And I was like, what is this? What is this woman talking about? Like, I don't want to hear about what? Carson, what? This is just, can we listen to the radio? You know, I was like, I was resistant to it. But because she kept talking to me about it and bringing it up, and she gave me my first personal development book, you know, from Barbara DeAngelis, I read it and it changed my life. So my sister literally was the conduit for me to get on this path. So it's both and.
Wow, that's incredible.
And
Um,
by the way, I love Marianne Williamson. She's a friend of mine. She endorsed the cover of the Desire Factor. So I came around. I wasn't ready for it at that time, but I came around.
yes, divine timing is everything. I was definitely introduced to all this, and then I stepped away from it, and then it found me again. So definitely can relate with that. And okay, when it comes to manifesting, I'm wondering if you can kind of block yourself. I don't know what's happening with me, but there'll be times, I can't be the only one, where I do manifest what I want, and then it's almost like I push it away. Like it's right there in front of me. I have it. And then I don't know if there's inner work I need to do, if there's a belief that I hold that I need to let go of because it's not letting me have that. Is there something that you did or that you would recommend to stop that?
Yeah. So I know, I too know what you're talking about. And I'm sure many do. So it's like, you know, it's like you come close and then you like sabotage, right? So it's when we're getting, I write about this in the book, The Art of Having It All. It's like a thermometer, right? Like we let ourselves have a certain range of havingness. And when we intend that's beyond that range, it gets uncomfortable. So that uncomfortable, if we ignore it, suppress it, just go, oh, it's going to be okay, just do it anyways, kind of thing, we start to sabotage. And there's many ways we're very, very creative, so we don't get what we really want. It's that whole thing of whatever the resistance is, whatever the, wow, this is going to change my life, this is going to be amazing. That part of us that doesn't want us to change our life, it doesn't want it to be amazing, wants to keep us where we are, wants to keep us safe and protected, will kick in and go, no, it's not safe. You know, you could put yourself out there and then everybody will know about you, right? I remember years ago when I went full time in my business and things were like really expanding as far as like clients and business. I have this moment where it's like, "Oh, you better stop." And I'm like, why? Because Britney Spears, she can't even go to the grocery store. And I literally was like, what? Like, and then I had to like talk with myself, go, okay, the biggest guys at that time, or the biggest people, right, in the personal development industry was Marianne Williamson, and still is, but Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. And I had a connection with Wayne Dyer at a airport in the middle of LA. And I was like, okay, girl, listen, Wayne Dyer walked all the way through that airport. You and one other person knew even who he was. In this industry, nobody is running around like paparazzi, not able to drive your car, because Britney Spears at that time was like being run down by paparazzi. And I'd like, I would never want that. So my mind going, ooh, if you're getting bigger, you're going to be like Britney Spears. And I'm like, that is crazy. Nobody in this industry is being followed around. Settle yourself down. But it's our nervous system, it's our limbic system, it's our mind that wants to keep us safe. And that if we have exactly what we want, if we go beyond that limited place of what we think we can have, that thermometer, if it gets too high, the air conditioning cools us down, right? If it gets, we won't go below a certain point either, because if it goes too low, it kicks back in. So it's like there's a range. So when you feel that resistance as you're moving towards something, let yourself sit in the resistance and not resist the resistance. Because when you become aware of it, now you can make a different choice. You can give yourself a different vibrational frequency to hold, so you're preparing yourself for it.
Okay. Okay, so as long as you're aware, you can kind of move through it. You don't have to necessarily have a healing session or Reiki or things like that. But at the same time, actually Could you do that?
Absolutely. I 100% recommend if you have tools, and we have so many tools available to us now. There's so many different modalities, which is great. But here's the caution, because I went there too, right? For many years. It's like, okay, something's blocking me. And then we start focusing on what's blocking me. And then we go into the block instead of going into what we want. And when the resistance is there, you said being aware. Yeah, having awareness is the key for any coach or author. Whenever we create some kind of transformational experience, the first way to do it is have awareness. You have to be present with it. You have to have an awareness of not exactly what it is. I mean, it could be known or unknown, but that something is feeling split here. Something's feeling a bit off. I feel like I've got a foot that's going in two different boats and they're splitting away. Like, cause I want this, but there's a part of me going, but like, look at what the but is. What is that? What is that energy? What is that telling you? Because as you don't resist it, then you can be in acceptance of it. And now it doesn't have control over you anymore. I'll give you a really good example. Tuesday, this last week, my son turned 14, and I went to, he had a half day. So I dropped him off at school. He manifested having a half day for his birthday. I was like, you are such a manifester. So I had like less than 3 hours to go get the cake and the balloons and the, groceries for that dinner, because he had a special dinner that he wanted and everything. So 9 times out of 10, if I ever have a cart, I will go and put it away. I'm a very conscious person. And this time it was hot out, there's cake in the cart, right? Everything was going, plus I was on a time crunch. So I took the cart and I put it up on the curve. It was away so that it wasn't going to hurt anybody. I didn't leave it in the parking lot so someone couldn't use the parking spot. I put it and tucked it away. And as I'm getting in my car to turn on the air and turn on the car on, this woman with so much judgment, she's looking at me at my car, and she's got that persnickety kind of like persecution, she's bothered. And so before I could even get out of the cart and bring the cart back, she starts taking the cart away, right? And so I rolled down my window and I said, thank you. And she goes, you're lazy. And I was like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm lazy. And I was like, oh my God. So I drove away and I go, wait a minute. And here's the fight part of me. I am the least laziest person. Most people would say you are the hardest working person I know, right? So I'm defending. I'm wanting to argue. I'm wanting to fight against. I wasn't even in the parking lot anymore, but I'm still fighting with this woman in my own head. How dare she call me lazy? And then I want to list out all the ways I am not lazy, right? And I always say this to everybody: when you're in feeling bad, when you don't feel good, when something bushwhacky like that happens, when someone says something to you rude, when someone does something or doesn't do something and it shocks you, or you feel like the rug got pulled out from under you, or you're just like, what? Let yourself sit in compassion for yourself, not sorry for, but the energy of compassion neutralizes us out of that negative space. Because when we can come into that compassion, it's like, it's okay. It's like self-soothing. It's okay. You're not lazy, right? It's okay. She was just persecuting you. She probably felt better because now she felt like, oh, I'm better than this person. And oh, I rescued the parking lot from a cart, right? It's like, that was about her. It wasn't about me, but yet I'm the one having that feeling of fighting her. I had an emotional reaction about it. So therefore it is now about me, because now that situation has left me trying to defend. What do I got to do? I got to work harder. I got to work more. And I let myself feel that compassion. And then I went, you know what? What if I am lazy? What if I am lazy? Are there times in my life that I'm lazy? Yeah. And it feels good. There are times when I go get a massage. There are times when I sit on the couch and watch old episodes of Sex in the City or Emily in Paris, right? And there are times when it's like I've worked a long day and there's a ton of other things I could do, like groceries and all that other stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm going to take time for myself and I'm going to lay on the couch and I'm just going to relax. If that's being lazy, then I guess I'm sometimes lazy. Was in that moment not putting the cart away, because I had been to 3 other grocery stores that day and put the cart away every single time, right? I'll walk in 115-degree weather in Scottsdale to go put the cart away. The one time I didn't, boy, did I get persecuted for that, right? So that judgment from somebody else, how do we handle that? I let myself come back into compassion. I'm like, you know what? Instead of fighting it, yep, there are times in my life that I'm lazy. Okay. The divine still loves me when I'm lazy or when I'm busting it. My soul still supports me and loves me when I'm lazy or when I'm not lazy, when I'm being motivated, when I'm inspired, when I'm up on a stage, when I'm in an interview. My divine, my soul infinitely loves me, as all of it does, not just me, you, everyone. And if I'm judging myself of, oh God, I'm lazy, now I don't feel good about myself. Now I'm not in alignment. But you know what that did is like, okay, all right, each and every time I'm going to put the cart away. But I'm not going to judge myself for not doing it that one time. Another thing, you know, it's like whatever someone says or whatever we judge ourselves to be, if you resist that judgment, if someone told me, you know, that she had a really bad diagnosis, and it was like I could feel myself. I'm like, I can't get into this. Like your friend, right? You didn't go into the drama with her. You stayed in the this is for her, and so I didn't go into the drama with her. And some people might perceive that as I don't care. So I kind of felt, and I asked myself, am I uncaring? And I'm like, no, I'm very caring. I just don't, yeah, I am uncaring because I don't care to go into somebody else's drama. I would rather see her in perfect health and perfect well being, which is what her potential to be is. I don't want to focus on the doom and gloom. So, yeah, there are times when I care and there are times when I don't care, but it's both and we're so judgmental of each other right now. I mean, what was that? You literally had to call me lazy because I didn't put a card away. Wow. And then I started thinking about, geez, I have compassion for her, because if she's like that with a stranger in a parking lot, how is she with her own children, her husband? How is she with herself?
Mhm. Yeah.
And that allows me to have compassion for me and for her.
Now
Because now, go ahead.
that was one part of where my mind would go. If that happened to me, I would think, part of me would think, okay, she's self-projecting. Does
Yes.
she see herself as lazy? And then a part of me would think, okay, did I just attract that reaction because maybe a part of me in my mind felt a little guilty for not putting the card back? So then yeah.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I told my mom that very day. I'm like, can you believe this happened? You know, I was telling her about it. She goes, oh, your father. And my dad, you know, very persecutor and very judgmental. So your father hated that. If he saw someone not putting a cart back, he would just, and I'm like, okay, I must have heard my dad at some point persecuting someone for not putting a cart back. It's probably the reason why I'm pretty conscientious about it and I put my carts back all the time. But the one time I don't, I get persecuted for it, right? So it's like, oh, okay. My dad in the back of my head going, you shouldn't have done that. You should do this, right? And that's one of the things I talk about. Y'all, all your listeners can go to Watch Your Words, watchyourwords.com. It's a free video program where I talk about, it's a daily program where I talk about the words that you definitely do not want to use, why, and what you want to say instead. Because there are certain words and phrases like should, shouldn't, that pull our energy down, that leave us beating ourselves up, and then we persecute ourselves.
Yes. Oh, that I did not know that website existed. I can't wait to check it out. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you that are final questions, but before we get to those, what have we not talked about that you think that maybe feel into the Quantum Council? Is there anything that we should put out there into the world for the listeners?
Well, I mean, there's a lot more I talk about. I've been doing this for a really long time. So let's just talk about really quick to just really bring this in as far as abundance and lack. Abundance, there's a law of sufficiency and abundance. It's not just the law of abundance. So I like to say that there's three different states of being. We talked about the one that's lack, scarcity. It always feels bad. So if you're checking in with yourself and you feel bad, you feel even just off, you feel irritated, right? There's some part of us that are focusing on what we don't have, what we won't get. We're either future projecting and then we get worried. So all that comes from lack. The polar opposite side of the spectrum is abundance. This is where all the bliss and the love and the joy and the support and the freedom and passion and purpose, all the stuff that we want to experience and feel. But we're trained in lack. We don't mean to be. Our teachers, our parents, our society, our advertising, our marketing doesn't, well, marketing and advertising does, because they want you to feel like if you don't have this, then you need to get this, and then you'll finally be happy. And how is that working for us? Right? So there's three different buckets. There's lack on one side, there's abundance on the other. For most people that are mired in lack and trained in lack and stuck in lack and programming in lack, blocks of lack, how do you get to the other side? Because it's way different vibration, right? So the middle bucket, it's kind of like leapfrogging lily pads, right? The middle is compassion, it's satisfaction, it's sufficiency. And that's where, okay, it's going to be okay, right? That's where we can bring in the energy of compassion. We can give ourselves a hug, rub ourselves and go, you're okay. It's all right. This is happening. You've got the resources. Breathe this moment right here, right now. Everything's okay, right? That gets us into a place of peace, harmony, compassion, a place where we're okay. We're not feeling bad. We may not be over the moon excited. We might not be fully immersed in the abundance yet, but this opens the doorway for that to happen. When we're in lack, we cannot find the vibration of abundance, but sufficiency opens that doorway, and then we have access to it. So, for example, when I was leaving corporate America, every day I would go to my job and I would focus on what was right, what was good, what I appreciated, what I was grateful for. Even if it was listing, I don't work on nights and weekends. I have my nights and weekends free so I can work with clients. I can, learn about building my business. I can do all these other things because someday I will have a successful coaching business where I am changing lives, where I am working as much as I want to work or as little as I work. I can work out when I want to work out. My days are my own. I can, have my own schedule. I can work with the kind of clients I work. And I would sit there and think about this right here is okay. I get paid well, all the different positive. I got my own door. I could close the door. I'm not in a cubby, right? I've got a friend I can go get a tea with. I would focus on all the positive aspects while getting excited for what's coming. And that's the best place to be as far as manifestation. Be okay, satisfied with the now, and excited for what else is coming, excited for what you're creating, excited for what you're manifesting, excited for what your soul is wanting to bring you towards. Because we separate from our soul. We separate from our entire, not really, but mentally we do. We separate our consciousness from the consciousness of our higher self. And therefore we feel the split and then we don't feel good.
For me, all of that, 100%. I will do that. And then it keeps me from being present because I'm constantly, I'll forget what day, I'll think it's 2 days ahead of today because my brain's already there.
Yeah. Yeah. So being present in the now, feeling your, what you have now, the gratitude that you have now. I mean, all of our power truly is in our now, and we can change everything from a moment of lack to a moment of abundance in the now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, amazing. Okay. My final question I ask everyone is, what is your number one health tip? So that could be spiritual, it could be mindset, it could be diet, physical, emotional, just the one piece of advice that you would like everyone to know.
Move your body. Our bodies want to move. It helps us release stress. It helps create endorphins. I mean, it helps us sleep better. It gives us a better mood, puts us in a better mood. Move your body. Find something that you love to do, whether it's hiking or Pilates or yoga or, doing circuit training, dancing. I have had so many clients that just started doing like ballroom dancing, and they would lose weight, they'd feel better, they felt more passionate. Just move your body. Your body your body wants to move.
Okay, before I ask my final question, where can people go to learn more besides watchyourwords.com, because that's already incredibly valuable, but where would you like to send to the listeners?
Well, I have a YouTube. I have many YouTube channels that are meditations. So they're guided meditations. I have my Christy Whitman YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, and there's tons of, hundreds of videos on, probably thousands of videos on law of attraction, abundance, the 7 essential laws, how to manifest, really any subject to help you feel better in your life. And then I also have ChristyWhitman.com.
Wonderful. All of that will be in the description, of course. And for the last question, you get to choose it by picking a number 1 through 100.
33.
33. So your question is, what is your favorite way to relax and unwind?
I get a massage every Friday, and that is always my favorite go-to. But I do like at the end of the day, putting on some Netflix with my husband. I put my feet over him. He massages my feet, and then I typically fall asleep on the couch while he's doing that. But then, yeah, that's one of my go-to relax at the end of the day.
Now, because of what we're talking about, I have to ask you, are you very particular about what you watch on Netflix because of what you want to put into your mind? And
Yes, it's all about input and output. So I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch, those kind of shoot 'em, like when the movie starts and they're shooting everybody, I'm like, no, thank you. So I am very particular about what I put into my mind. I like to watch comedy shows and shows like Emily in Paris and Sex in the City and those kind of fun, like, comedies, and makes me laugh. I like comedy.
yeah,
Yeah.
light. I'm
Yeah.
the same. Oh,
Yeah.
Christy, this has been absolutely amazing. I could talk to you for hours.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please check out the description. Find more from Whitney. I'm obsessed, or Christy Whitman. Combine your first and last
That's
name.
okay.
But absolutely incredible. I am obsessed with your work, and thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for what you're doing in the world to help broadcast more light, more consciousness, more positive vibes. So your listeners are in really good hands with you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
If you enjoyed that interview with Christy Whitman, remember to subscribe and come back next week for another interview with another amazing guest. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful week.